Nogen, der har lyst til at starte? Ellers så gør jeg det.
Altså, egentlig var vi startet.
Ja, det gør jeg. Det var mere for at få fokus på det, i stedet for at vi sidder og snakker i 5 grupperinger.
Jo.
Så endelig grib en tråd, hvis jeg har et eller andet.
Men har alle været inde og se eller være del af Inner Radio?
Og så skal vi heller ikke sige for meget, fordi så...
Alligevel.
Du har ikke det samme smil på som noget.
Men handler performance om det? Handler det om, hvor meget hun kan spise, eller det handler om publikumsinteraktion, ikke? Det er vel bare et side.
Det er i hvert fald en del af det. Og der har vi jo haft nogle interessante ting på bordet med, hvorfor accepterer man alligevel lidt de spilleregler, der er. Det vil sige, der er nogen, der udfordrer lidt og prøver at få noget kage, men når hun så tager det væk, så accepterer inklusive børnene, accepterer faktisk de spilleregler, der er. Og hvis det er en metafor for den rige og den fattige verden, så er det en meget interessant mekanisme, der foregår. Altså fordi man kunne så let som ingenting slå sig sammen og bare gå hen til bordet og lide det, eller man kunne snige sig til det og sådan noget. Men det gør folk ikke, og det gør børnene heller ikke. Kom ind.
Vi kan ikke tale dansk.
Nå.
Kom ind og det er også.
Chance. I mean, there's a lot of chance anyway with the bus going, over bumps and all sorts of things. Why not have this chance element as well? But he seemed very controlled about it. He wanted.
I thought the piece was about he said he would pick up signals, so I thought it was actually picking up some kind of signals from the bus, like not the sound, but like just from electronics. There's always signals coming down. But then he explained afterwards that it was actually the recorded sound.
Sonja?
Ja.
Hvordan står vi?
Det ser meget godt ud. Altså de her kartofler og sådan noget.
Vi tager en til. And set again.
Men altså langsomt tager
Yeah.
mere klar.
Okay, but we will take another one. And you can buy wine over here. If you want water, take a glass and go to the toilet where there's a water hand there. That's the rules in here.
Hartmut Stockton?
Yes, Hartmut Stockton.
I could begin.
Yes.
I love Hartmut Stockton, and it's the first time I've seen him perform. Normally, he just has a website where he shows the devices he has made, and he explains what they're for. And he exhibits them the same way. You just see these objects, and there's a description of how you can use them. And this is the first time I've seen them being used. It doesn't make much of a difference because the fantasy of them being used in this absurd approach to nature is very joyful in itself. I find them very funny and very thoughtful in how we try to approach nature in all sorts of ways, and what do we actually need? Do we only need ourselves when we look at nature, or is nature actually the other that we can confront and sort of interact with? And in his performance, it was interesting that he had obviously rehearsed his voice a lot. He was very good at talking in a loud and clear voice and being the center, but he never looked out at the audience. And that's not a critique, it's just, that was his way of performing.
Something I also like about his performance is like he sees like this nature as a not very user-friendly kind of thing. Like I think it really sums up like normally trees doesn't have grene, branches downstairs, and that's a problem.
That's annoying.
And this be fixed. That's kind of really like it's been fixed, and well, his Earth telescope, well, you can dig down, but well, not see very much because it's actually just a hole in the ground. There's not so much to see.
There's probably a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
So I guess it's also playing with the imagination or the desire to see things. Or even, we talked about it a little bit, that so many of our encounters with nature actually go through some kind of, we see things either from television, really amazing nature films, where they have advanced cameras catching particular moments, but also the microscope or the binoculars, and we have these tools to try to get closer to nature, but actually it's something that goes in between us and the nature itself. So this sort of desire to get closer, that is also, that fails to some extent.
One of the biggest fantasies of humankind is to really have an interaction with animals. And the thing is that most animals, perhaps with the exception of some pets, we can't really have an interaction. We can only have a one-way communication. Maybe you've seen the Werner Herzog film with the guy with the bears, and he imagines how he has a special relation to these bears, and they understand him and they love him, and in the end they just kill him.
I don't know. I thought this instrument, like exploring nature, you talked about how it kept him at a safe distance of nature.
Yes,
at the same time.
that's true.
Because
Yes.
nature also contains snakes and other things, so the thing could pick up snakes and make it different.
That's true.
And another instrument that also struck out a bit was this violin, this grasshopper, what do you call it?
Cricket.
Yeah. So when you move your wings, it will make the violin inside it that says, and that was not an instrument for exploring nature, was it?
No, that's imitating. Yeah, it was perhaps about attracting.
Because it's the amazing sound that you're trying to make. So this huge cricket trying to attract small cricket. What I like also is also the display with what is nature, like this, nature is so natural. We want to get out in nature, but what we have is always mediated nature through all kinds of techniques. Like this, and also like just getting dirt under your fingers, but at the same time we use tools for everything and everything, so translated through technology all the time.
I think we should continue and take the last two before we eat. It's good to be hungry. And then we could and then we could talk more afterwards, or maybe go and eat. All of us together, we go and take the last cake from Tanya. If we jump to Benrø and Stampes, they obviously had some problems with their technique today, which was very shit like that happens. It's sad, but it happens. What I like about them is that it is three guys from the Arts Academy who was educated years ago, who are since then doing similar work. Some of them are working with children, some of them doing other stuff. But they're not really full-time artists working with art.
Two of them are not from the Art Academy.
No, they're not from the Art Academy. No.
One of them is, but two.
Carl is from the Art Academy. Okay. Sorry, I got that wrong. But it's kind of, as I see it, it is this kind of a childhood dream about becoming a rock star. And to make it more complicated, you have to be a rock star. You have to build your instruments yourself. So it's kind of living out a child dream, and that is kind of what it's for me. But what they're doing there is kind of, it's, even though they're performing a bit there and there, it's a concert. But the performance part, or the performative part of that work, is actually the frame of that what lies underneath it. That these three guys met and say, hey guys, let's make a rock band and go touring and make these things together, build the instruments, and make our own merchandise and go touring and play around in, and that's kind of the project for me. And that makes it very interesting. the concert that we saw today is just the top of the iceberg.
That's fun. I see it the opposite actually. I see it has nothing to do with music. It has more to do with like Storm P loving to make things react and don't care. Like it's to me. But also I'm thinking like being a rock star is more about getting enough money to buy the Fender guitar. And I don't know.
They're very introverted, right? They're hardly looking out at the audience.
Yeah.
They're looking down at their shoes or
their
at the equipment that's not working. Or
But that's
So does many rock stars. The whole shoe gets in room.
yeah,
But their goal, their dream is not the rock star today. It's the 70 crowd rock, which was actually doing that. They were not in contact with the audience. So that's kind of the dream, getting there. And of course, there's all these Storm P things. That is the next thing. Of course, it would be nice to have the opportunity to build all these lovely tools. And how great isn't it to make a hydraulic air pump, turn that into a drum machine, which is brilliant as a art piece. That is brilliant. But
Yeah, for me I see it's very sculptural and also that the instruments become kind of animistic, or what you say, they take on their own personality and a bit in the like become insects or like, and that each instrument becomes very performative in itself.
I also find that's kind of strengthful, that it has this kind of view. It's not like many things like musicians start with they have a common ground on the music. These guys do, but there's different places. But it's more like the musicians come together. They want to do the music, then they suddenly we want to do more, and they slowly walk over to the art scene. But here they have like the formality of the art scene, that they have listed, they built a sculpture which kind of explain themselves, have their own kind of little language in what they are in the structure, and from that they are kind of creating the music and going from have a base on the art scene and going to the music scene in that kind of sense, kind of the opposite around in some way. And it's fantastic.
and the smoke machine, which is kind of sad, you know. It's kind of desperate.
And
let's get some smoke.
especially like the way that Carl is sitting there and just sitting there just to the back too, and the smoke's coming and people and just
Disappeared.
yeah.
I find that the whole kind of, for me, what's interesting about the day is also the rubbing together of the different kinds of ways of receiving stuff, that like the discussion we're having here, where the psychological reading of it, which is like about these guys' psychology, is because I'm a sculpture guy. I read it from the opposite, and kind of it's the same with the parade and a little bit of a way for me. And I think the rubbing together of the different kinds of ways of receiving performance is really interesting, rather than trying to pick it apart. I don't know if that makes sense. And what strikes me is that we're talking about a little group as one group, then another group, and then another group. And what's maybe more interesting for me is how they rub together and how they create weird like uncertainties of what's a parade? What's it doing here? What's a concert? Why is it happening here? There's a weird kind of, and in a way those kind of uncertain moments for me are more fruitful than the more theatrical, the more where I know I'm going into a black box. Something's about to happen. I think those, in a way, the cake and the parade and those are really weird for me. I'm not really sure what to do with them, and that's the kind of quality that I did. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's, and I think maybe the being where I started was the one that did that the most for me. Was like, I was rocking a little bit to the beat, but it didn't really work, and is it a concert? And I was looking at them, and those like moments that really worked, and it was just like a drone concert, which is like an established genre, and I was just like happy, like, yeah, this is good, and then something really went off, and it was like,
so, and if I may jump in, but I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think that, the beauty of a lot of the work today is it's weird. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. And the one thing I would like to say is, again, maybe as an example of this stamper or whatever they're called. I mean, but it's like it's the intention of the artist. I mean, the intention of the artist is not to be just weird for the sake of it, but one of the beautiful things about quite a lot of the work today is it's the artists themselves trying to understand what is this, why should this be here, and I think particularly the concert, I think exactly, I mean they're obviously very serious about it, but they're obviously also aware of the weirdness that they're creating, And I say, and it's not in a sort of cynical or jokey sense. It's like that lovely mixture where they want to put themselves in an unusual situation and experience it for themselves and find their own sort of way through it.
But also, it's not like the futurists haven't been in this territory before, so that it's like a tradition. It's just a different tradition, maybe from what's actual, like very present in performance or in sculpture now. So for me, there's a lovely reinvigoration of a tradition that's there.
Yeah, I think it's a very sort of, for me, particularly with their work, it's a very honest and open engagement in just exploring, and they say they're not really trying to prove anything, they're not trying to be the cutting edge of the avant-garde, but they are doing something interesting, but you just see them on, they're obviously just, they're the mechanics, facilitating the lives of these machines, and that's the nice sort of odd, interesting, weird position that they put themselves in, and this is what makes it enjoyable.
I would like to take that as a keyword to the last performance that we'll be talking about now before the dinner. Schützen, det er julerupsnit. If you take this, and I quite agree as well, putting yourself into open and the strange and exploring. Can you use the same kind of optics on the Schützen? Have you seen it, all of you? What do you think?
If we can use the same optics.
Yeah, of putting yourself into an unknown situation, trying something else.
Yes, you can, but not in the actual performance situation. Again, we're talking about the thing, the research work for this performance. She actually started going to shooting classes in Berlin, and she's always, for her performance, going into real rehearsals. When she did a piece at Café Theater, she went to real pig farms and was taught how to cut up a real pig. Use that kind of real experiences to put it into artwork. And
the weird thing for me was when she suddenly referred to YouTube. She said, at least that's how it looked on YouTube. And I'm like, what? Is this not research based? What are you doing research on YouTube? What's going on here? Suddenly I was in doubt of the whole status of the whole, everything that she was saying there.
But isn't YouTube a very, today, YouTube could be a place to do research.
I wouldn't get my knowledge about Afghan soldier rehearsal on YouTube.
I haven't, but that could definitely be a possibility.
I think in many ways you could get a better, but you could no. But I think sometimes you can get a better. You can do a better research on YouTube that you can going into an Afghani home. Say, what are you doing here? Just pretend that I'm not here. At YouTube, people put things out from their everyday life that you often don't have access to.
But of course, you need to frame it. Why did these people put their circular movements out on YouTube? And why did it rain down with dollar bills? What is this video representing? Is this what happens in all Afghan towns? What's going on?
But he also doesn't claim, like, do you think they do yoga before they do the drone thing? Do you think they go down and meditate? That's where I was like,
If she didn't mention YouTube, I would believe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I've, like Henrik, I've sort of, I know a bit about her.
I know her.
Beforehand. Okay, yeah, but she presents herself as a researcher. She also called this a research project.
But she also always plays with what is true and what is not true. At the Café Theater, she actually never went to this gymnastic thing that she talks about. So she's also yes. Okay. It's that's a part of the whole thing. Like, who are you on stage?
But the only reason I found out was that she mentioned
the YouTube. That's fun. Yeah.
I also like noticed like when she talked about the drone controllers, warriors. Like they had like the 7 hours of war time, and then there was off. It's kind of like it was like this good. They have like Afghanistan had this ritual, and then the drone wars had like this kind of coffee break.
But
and it's kind of like little like put it up on an edge, and more like just in where you got the research from in some ways. No, but it's just.
Does it matter if it's true or not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's also
Yeah.
a question I have to.
And especially for the performance
Yes.
and when it talks about
for
how
me it does.
people need to-
For me it does because I had the idea that I was going to gain knowledge here.
But what
I'm
about
an academic.
knowledge?
I'm used to research being something very serious and has a lot of rules to avoid getting fake knowledge. So
but what about
that's why it's important for
serious
me.
research from a person who starts out walking like a tiger that she was
No, well, I'm expecting performance based on serious research.
But
That
what?
I did.
But doesn't
Maybe
that?
I was naive. I
But
mean,
doesn't that make you,
You can
ask
question
yourself
the
what is
value of
serious
research.
research? What is, she also said this is about anthropology.
Yeah.
What are the anthropologists who goes into
Yeah.
the field, who comes back home, writes a paper of 16 pages?
But
Is that-
there's a very huge trend called practice-based research and artistic research. So I mean, it's not that foolish of me to suspect something serious.
But
And in a
It's
practice-based
out there.
research,
It exists. It
you
could
would
exist.
you would expect in practice-based research, artistic research, you would expect that the research is real. It's not something fake, and it's not playing with that borders. So
Yeah, but perhaps
but
the
what
research
is
is real,
But
but
what is
the
real?
story
What is
fake
objective?
and what is
What-
derived from it is fiction.
if she
Big,
claims she
but-
has been there and she has been doing the research, and it certainly changed character.
But
That's-
the question
But she
is, what
hasn't
is
said-
the research in? I mean, if it's
Yeah.
about the research is in the border between what's true and what's not, or if the research is how does it feel for her personally, physically, to carry a weapon. I mean, that was not the result just on the stage, or is the research about the connections between yoga and military training. I mean, I'm still unsure about what was the actual research and what was the connection between her private research outside the stage and what we saw on stage.
Mm. Yeah, I think I would also be more curious to what did she get out of being in the shooting club. Like, I felt like she did that research, but I didn't get so much out of that. Like, personally, I would have liked to get more into that research of what she actually experienced herself by carrying a weapon, because I don't know, but at least here I've never.
For me, the point was
Right.
more to bring to the way she played with things like yoga, to bring people into this kind of state of yoga, and thinking about yoga is something good in a Western lifestyle. That I think about it a lot. I should really do some yoga. That would be good for me. And then suddenly transforming that into something really. Not so positive violence, and I think that was quite effective to bring, to engage people in that way in the yoga session, and then turn the situation around during the performance.
I'm also
This is
curious.
really nice-looking Scandinavian girl smiling at you in a very
It's scary.
forward way. Yeah, having the right yoga clothes and looking very nice. And in the and then it's about violence.
Our apologies, we have to get ready. So
You're playing at 8?
Yeah.
Yes, or
Sharp?
wait until you're all
Performance
done
at
with dinner. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know if it'll be 8 sharp, it depends on the person.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
But maybe that's also kind of, I'm not summarize it up, we can talk more, and we are here the whole day tomorrow. So please tomorrow come over, we can talk more about these issues. We won't be that many people here tomorrow, so please come the whole day and talk with us about the performance you'll see today or the performance you'll see tomorrow. Right now there's food, and after the food or during the food we can also talk a bit more. I have to repeat the commercials that there's wine over here. Glass is 20 and a bottle is 100, and it's self-service. And you can take a glass on the table and put normal water in it, tap water. And the dish today is, sorry, not for vegetarian, it's only meat, and it's called lamb in ville. And So, yes, please take a portion and eat a bit, then we can continue talking.
Ja.